Yeah, we're still here on VOP this morning. Now to the second topic of the day. The police in Delta State, Nigeria and South, on Tuesday paraded scores of young men and women suspected to be homosexuals who were arrested at the same-sex marriage ceremony in the state. Bright Adafi, a deputy superintendent of police, said police operatives had intercepted a cross-dresser who confessed that he was a member of a homosexual club and was on his way to attend a homosexual marriage ceremony. He led the operatives to the venue of the ceremony. Still with me virtually is John Akerele, Chukuma Okoro, and Victor Atewe.
All right, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Chukuma Okoro. I don't know what to call this lifestyle. I don't want to sound condescending, or I don't want my question to come out as distasteful. But whether we like it or not, this is a lifestyle that has become prevalent, across the majority of the population. It has been in existence for a while, perhaps, but just shrouded, kept in secrecy. Now there is more brazenness. There is this confidence with those who are executing this lifestyle. Now, the law has stated that homosexual criminality in Nigeria is a no-no. But we have seen people brazenly come out on social media, make reference to their gay partners, create activities, that involve such, orgasmic nature of such sexual disposition. What's your take on this development?
Thank you, Esther. Esther, no, there is no question you ask about the propriety of same sex that will be distasteful. What is actually distasteful is the act itself. It is not only distasteful, it is satanic, it is un-Christian, it is un-Islam, it is un-African. In my place, in Igbo language, you will say, Obualo. It is a sacrilege for a man to contemplate getting married to another man, or a woman contemplating getting married to another woman. It's un-African, entirely un-African. Unfortunately, we have this kind of Western influence coming strongly to this climb, to this hemisphere. And this is one of them. Unfortunately, the West, especially the America, is using its soft power to push this value into the African continent and into Asia. What they want to derive, they gain from this thing in their pursuit, in their inordinate pursuit of liberty and freedom, is what I don't understand. It's abominable. It's condemnable in the strongest terms. Because I don't understand, I can't even fathom the idea of cohabiting with a fellow man to the point of having intercourse. And America has been at the forefront of this champion. America has been at the forefront lately. And unfortunately, what they do is, it speaks to America's imperial diplomacy, that when they pursue this agenda, they look for poor African countries, poor Asian countries, and tie aid, financial aid, to the countries approving same-sex marriage. They did it in Nigeria, it didn't work. President Jonathan kicked against it vehemently. And by 2013, by December, the National Assembly had passed a bill prohibiting same-sex marriage in Nigeria, or recognizing foreigners in Nigeria from being, that is, foreigners who were already married, same-sex outside, from practicing it in Nigeria. Unfortunately, most of these young men, to them it has become a fact. They don't even know the implication. Some of them don't even know that there's an act of parliament that was signed by President Jonathan on the 7th of January 2014, prohibiting same-sex marriage. Not just prohibiting it. If you are an accomplice, if you provide venue, If you wed them, you are liable to 10 years imprisonment, while the culprits themselves are liable to 14 years imprisonment. Most of these young men doing these things don't know. They think it's a fad. And how that fad came to be is what I don't understand. When they started, it was when I was young, I used to hear about gay and lesbians. All of a sudden, they added lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. The next one now is intersex. And I hope they don't add incest to it again. I hope they don't add incest to it. In the whole of Africa, I think there are about 5 countries that have approved the same-sex marriage. And if you look at these countries, like I said, it is these poor countries that America pushed very hard and tied AIDS to them. But fair enough, some African countries, okay, in South Africa in 2006, same-sex marriage act was passed. Cape Verde, yes, approved same-sex marriage. Uganda abhors it. Nigeria abhors it. In fact, in Uganda, it is death by penalty. And I recall sometime the president, when the police caught two same-sex couples, he said, put them in this place, and until one of them conceives, I'm not going to release them. And none of them has conceived up until this moment that we speak. The issue is now for families, the church, the community, civil society organizations, to keep hammering on the values that abhor this same-sex marriage. Because if we don't take time, most of our youths are hooking up to this fact unknowingly about the implications of doing that.
Wow. This is...
Esther, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes,
Thank you,
we
Mr.
are right
Chukuma.
here. Thank you so much. This is also pathetic, I must say. This question is for you, Victor. So the law says homosexuality is criminal, in Nigeria. But what else has government not done, to prevent and perhaps protect people from getting involved in this sort of acts? And because over the years, this set of people, the LGBTQ plus community, continues to expand, in number, regardless of the laws prohibiting it. Would you say that government hasn't really done a great job in preventing and handling the issue as it should, or what? I mean, are the laws, now written only, in paper? Are you with me, Victor?
Nigeria and our laws, I'm with you. Yeah, our laws have always been, we have good laws, trust me. You need to go back and look through our laws. We have good laws that you imagine if all of these laws have been enforced, Nigeria will be a great place. The same happened to this LGBTQ plus prohibition act that they passed into law. The truth is, you see, like you said rightly, they are expanding. And trust me, what you saw or what happened in Delta State is just above the iceberg. These people are expanding, converting, and a lot of young ones, the youth right now, are willingly going into it because you know what? Now, because the truth is, like what Mr. Okoro said, one thing is, yes, we might want to look at it religiously, African, traditionally, and all, and our law prohibits it and all. But our law has not been enforced. We have people who even come online to say they're just using it to have fun, to catch crews, to get followers, but indirectly luring people in, indirectly converting followers. Now, the truth is, these people don't, it's beyond mere words. I'll tell you why. They come not from, people are not even going there willingly. People are going there because of the financial gain. Trust me, it will amaze you that your top politicians, the people that you least expect to be, are part of this group, are part of them who fund them. And that is why you see that United States they are mounting pressure to see how Nigerian can prohibit that act. So because they have a lot of members in Nigerians, but of course, due to the act, they can't practice it freely. But trust me, they are practicing it secretly, and not just that, expanding across board. Yes, whatever you want to paint it at all, but truth is, I like to give a background to this. It's as a result of the poverty our government has plunged the youth into. There's desperation on the land. people are hungry. So because of that, a lot of them find succor with these people. They're being provided for. It will amaze you that some will tell you that they rather be gay or lesbian than be what they are meant to be, because these people are well taken care of, and they brainwash them to let them understand that this is how life should be. You understand? It's you living your truth, and they come out to say they're living their truth. In fact, this recently there is this foundation which I want to call on air, who are they are interviewing pro and pro anti LGBTQ, and for those that are against and all, just to see how they can canvass and seek support and mount pressure on the government through our legislator to to abolish that act. So the thing is, not just that I make bold to say that our religious body has failed the youth and has failed Nigeria as a whole, because they've lost it. Because right now all our religious body is against is how to get more money, tithes and all and all. So they failed in that regard. So that is why you see that our youth morally we are losing them by the day. And may I also let you know that they are bringing it to our schools. They're bringing it to our schools. So this is really alarming, and I want to give a good thumbs up to the security agency. And I pray that this will not just be like the normal news that we hear, and after a week, like they say, like trending news last in Nigeria, another one will come, and before you know, they'll come and be released by their godfather, and they'll go back to living their life normally. They are everywhere. They are here in Abuja. They are everywhere. If
Wow.
you know, for me, when I saw the news yesterday, I was just laughing, and I was like, "This is not news. They are everywhere. It's just that they just want to take it further and see to test the water if it happened. If only our law is being put into effect and they are being publicly prosecuted, and we see that law making to, I mean, put into effect, and they are being jailed, found guilty, jailed for 14 years,
Yeah.
and of course, everyone found guilty is being punished according to the law. Trust
All
me,
right.
these guys would shield their sword. But as we
All
speak
right.
now,
Mm-hmm.
they are even more. You might be afraid that you have them in your family or my
Wow.
family.
Wow. John Akirili, some persons would say that this situation is a cultural diversion for some African nations that are not in support of this kind of sexual orientation or lifestyle. For example, we have some very popular social influencers who do not hide their identity or support of this kind of living. Names can be Bobrisky, that's a very popular one. Now, he's a supposed cross dresser. Sometimes he, has transited to become a female and had made statements of having boyfriends and all of that. Now, this popular influencer, a lot of, security actors can actually access the page of this individual and call him in for questioning. But Bobrisky, over the years, has brazenly made statements about his sexuality. Other persons have joined his camp. For the other James Brown individual has joined the camp to make statements and proclamations about their sexual proclivities. These things are not hidden. They're out there in social media. They are influencers for some major brands. And security operatives, those who are in charge of this, have not curtailed these individuals, have not brought them to question, they have not imprisoned them or charged them to court. Are we saying that inadvertently the country or the security operatives somehow support this lifestyle? Or maybe in some certain way, this is a way of trying to promote this lifestyle and incorporate it in our culture?
Esther, in fact, when you ask these questions, I weak for my bone. And why I'm weak is just that we have lost it as a nation. In terms of family values, ethics and ethos, we have lost it. Growing up for me, how can you say that your elder brother is a gay? Even your father and mother will bring broom to wipe out that spirit in you. It's uncalled for. It's not in our DNA. It's not who we are. But in a case where we have a failed government over time, the effect of a failed government comes into a failed family. All right, where children are meant to fend for themselves instead of being taken care by the parent. But even the parent cannot take care of themselves. Why? Because economically they are down due to failed government. So this, what you're saying, is as a result of failed institution over time. That's
Over
one
time.
angle.
Failed institutions over time. These institutions, are they the family? Are they the educational institutions that we attend? Could it also be the environment or, Western influence?
Esther, when we were growing up, we had nature and nurture. All right? Nurture has to do with your environment. And while I was growing up, we have communal parenting. Even if your own biological parents are not around, they are not at home, you dare not misbehave, because the next mother out there will serve as your mother. The next father out there can caution you. You don't dress anyhow because your parents are not around. Somebody will call you to and tell you, go back home and dress very well. Is your mother at home? You say no. Say Abajo. If your mother is at home, you would have dressed this way. Go back and dress. And then when your mother comes, they will report that same case to your mom. And we understand that fact. But now we live as a people, me and my family alone. I don't care what happens to others. And we forget that when we don't care about others, they tend to become monsters. And when they become monsters, that is what we are seeing now. So every aspect of the state have failed, from education to religion to parenting to governmental institutions to security. All these areas they have failed. All right. And now the most appalling aspect of it is we have selective judgment. Okay, the law will work on the does not work on the rich. Okay, so that is the case we have. If you're talking about Bobrisky and James, let me take you about who was Bobrisky 12 years ago. Okay, who was James Brown 12 years ago? So if you can answer these two questions, you will see that 12 years ago, these people were nobody. They were not in the limelight. But all of a sudden, because of selective judgment, and because we don't even know what we're doing as a people and as a nation, we promote that. How would your name is Idris, you dress like a woman, you said it's a profession. What sort of profession is that? Who does that? Okay? And I think it's high time that as a people, we need to get people to know that this is who we are. We are Africans, even not only Africans, we are Nigerians. Not only Nigerian, you're a typical Yoruba man, Igbo man, Tiv man, Ijo man, Edo man, Yoruba man. And from your own family, you have your family heritage, ethics, morals, and values that you live up to, that you keep up to, and that you cannot be ashamed to your family. And so this is as a result of failed institution. Now, if Bobrisky cannot be questioned, who are the so-called your boyfriend? You will see that they are part of the high and mighty. And how come is it that these guys have grown from one person to become legions? They now have a society. Go to the island. Some people are even married, even in church, they are married. They have full-blown wedding, husband and wife married. But do you know that the husband that is married is even having an affair with another gay partner? And then the wife is shocked. She cannot even talk to her pastor. She can't talk to her parents. And we have all sorts of things that is happening in that regard. So what I think we should do as a people is that we should come back to the smallest unit of a country, which is the family. Every one of these people belong to a family. So if a family can have hold on its own unit, maybe there are 3 children, 4 children, father and mother. If you can have a hold on your family, then we can have a hold on society. So it goes back to the family. When Bobrisky's father died, why didn't he go with his gele and his boobs? Why didn't he go there in that same dressing, in that same attire? Why didn't he cross-dress to his father's burial? That will show you that at that point where his father died, his sanity.
Thank
his
you.
sanity came
Thank
back
you
to
so
him.
much, John. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Chukuma, I don't know if you can hear me. What proper punishments do you think should be meted on these individuals? And do you think any punishment method, would stir up human rights conversations?
Yes, the law is very clear. The law is very clear on this. The 2013 Same-Sex Prohibition Act says that if you are caught, prosecuted, and found guilty, 14 years. When I read through the act, I didn't see any option of fine. And if you have helped, abetted, or you are found as an accomplice, you provided venue, you were a priest to join them, it's 10 clean years. And I think that the law should take its course as far as this particular issue is concerned. Beyond that, there's something I want to take Victor there's something that Victor said about this issue. It's clearly not, I don't clearly see it as an issue of poverty, but because in climes where these things are prominent, it doesn't speak to the poverty of the people. And like John again said, you see very wealthy politicians engage in this thing. So it has less to do with the it has less to do with the poverty rate. Is people imbibing this Western culture, that the soft power that America is using gradually, pushing this fact into African countries in their pursuit to extend the frontiers of freedom and liberty. And the thing is very common among the Democrats. This thing became quite prominent during the Obama presidency. When Trump came in, Trump deleted everything about LGBT, everything concerning the LGBT in the White House website. It was when Biden came back that he started tinkering with the idea of supporting, and he's been giving money. At last count, America has earmarked $700 million to support nations.
All right, Mr. Chukuma.
That will go the way of same-sex marriage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chukuma, for your contribution VOP this morning. Just before we go, I know the person who has not really given us his final take on this particular conversation is Victor Atawe. Victor, what are your final thoughts, please, in 2 seconds?
Okay, yeah, my final thought is the truth is this is as a result of a failed society, and of course, a lot of youths are plunging into this just for survival. Many of them. I know. I'm talking from the no point, and I really want the government to really take this case, not just like others, but make sure that justice is brought into book and be penalized, because it is no in Nigeria, and such we should uphold our laws and make this as a case study for others who might be thinking or who want to dare the law and the government.
Thank you, Victor Atara. Thank you so much on VOP this morning. John Okorele, your final thoughts in a second, please.
My final thought is that we should know that we are Nigerians and we are unique in our own different ways. Know that you're from a family unit, and whatever that you do that will be a disgrace to your family, please don't do it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chukuma Okoro. Thank you so much, Victor Atara.
Thank you.
Okay, you can give us your final thoughts, Mr. Chukuma. It's because you spoke last before I asked them the questions. Please go ahead.
No, I actually answered their colleague's question.
Okay.
My final thought is that, look, the burden is on us Nigerians, to ensure that we push back this fact that is ravaging our communities now. And the church has a very big role to play. Like John said, the family values should take precedence over whatever that we are doing, because the family is the basis of building a better society, a sound society.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your contribution on VOP this morning as the whole news. Thank you so much for your intellectual contribution on VOP this morning. We sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we'll be heading over to business, as immediately we're not going to be taking a break this time. We have on the business front, taxes on products in the country rose to 1.36 trillion naira in the first 6 months of 2023, despite worsening hardship across the board. Now, this is a 113.29% increase from the 636.19 billion naira it was in the first 6 months of 2021, and 25% increase from the 1.09 trillion naira it was in the corresponding period of 2022. These figures were obtained from the National Bureau of Statistics data on net indirect taxes on products and are based on current basic prices. Now, when adjusted for inflation, the taxes on products amounted to 465.94 billion naira in the first 6 months of 2023, a 34.98% increase from the 345.19 billion naira it was in the first 6 months of 2021, and an 11.94% increase from the 416.23 billion naira it was in the corresponding period of 2022. Also, according to the World Bank, net indirect taxes, that is taxes less subsidies on products, are the sum of product taxes less subsidies. It also stated that product taxes are taxes payable by producers as they relate to the production, sale, purchase, or use of the goods and services. The country's gross domestic product grew by 2.51% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2023. This was lower than the 3.54% recorded in the second quarter of 2022, and the NBS suggests that these may be because of challenging economic conditions being experienced. Also, the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has disclosed that turning away from an open trade will lead to greater price volatility and inflationary pressures and weaker growth prospects. She stated this at the annual Jackson Hole Economic Policy Symposium hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, U.S. recently. Now, the WTO Director General noted predictable trade was a source of disinflationary pressure, reduced volatility, and increased economic resilience, whereas fragmentation of trade into rival blocs would be very costly. She noted that sustained inflation had made a comeback across the rich world, with subsequent monetary tightening exacerbating debt distress and financial stability for dozens of developing economies. According to her, some policymakers have looked at these shocks alongside rising geopolitical tensions and concluded that globalization needs to be rolled back. She added that WTO economists estimated that if the world economy decouples into two self-contained trading blocs, that would lower the long-run level of real global GDP by at least 5%, with some developing economies facing double-digit welfare losses. And that's all we have for you right here. On the business front, we'll be heading over into entertainment as soon as possible. We'll take a very minute break and be right back.